All right, welcome, Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan here with the man who broke the code to my heart, Keith. What's up, you scrummy tart?
Don't talk slush with me, D-man. Don't talk slush. And if I am a tart, I'm a sweet tart.
Oh, come on.
We're back.
Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're working on some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing The Rose Code by Quinn. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or reach out to us about any past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify, so please download and subscribe. Keith, The Rose Code, 4.46 on Goodreads.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if we've seen a book that was that. Maybe Mistborn? I was shocked when I saw that. The Rose Code is basically a story about how if your friends slight you and then get put in an insane asylum, leave them there.
Right, yeah. Any sort of slight and you get them locked up in insane asylums, which in the 1940s were pretty chill. They're pretty well set up. They seem to know a lot about cracking up or going mad, and that's all they called it, and there's nothing else about it. No research, nothing going on in there. It's just they cracked up.
Yeah, it seemed like a really nice place to be.
Yeah.
So we're going to follow Osla, Beth, and Mab, short for Mabel. Beth, short for Bethan. Osla, short for Osla, not going to work here anymore.
Oslo Vista, baby.
Rose Code, stock up. What do you got?
Stock up being good at math?
Maths. In Britain, they call it maths.
Yes. And I've already divulged on this on the pod, but I mean, I'll repeat it again. But I mean, I peaked in 4th grade. Rocket arm in football, never improved my arm strength. Flowing blonde hair like Beth's. I could just dominate a multiplication table. You put one in front of me and it's dead, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, and I was just pulling Valentine's Day cards left and right. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. I peaked. That's where I peaked,
Keith, I think, unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but everyone had to give everyone a Valentine's Day card.
No, these are special. These are special.
Like when Billy Madison gets one for the principal.
Yeah. Where did it all go wrong, Matt, is what I'm asking you here. But anyways, in this book, it was nice to see that kind of like the smarts and being, good at math was most attractive to people. It was good to see that they built this whole community. It was kind of like a bohemian utopia for smart math people. And I would have loved to be a part of it, but what reality would happen, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I'd show up and they'd be like, oh, you're terrible at math. Get the fuck out, go to the front lines of Normandy and die there because we don't want you here anymore. But I would want to be part of the group, but I would never fit in. But stock up for those people. I'm proud of them and I wish I was part of that group.
Yeah, it seemed like a great haven for intelligent, odd people, right? Because everywhere else you're going, you're kind of a second-class citizen, and now you've found this Bletchley Park has just become this haven for these folks, these oddballs, but they're great at breaking codes or speaking German, whatever the case may be. And the thing that was interesting to me, too, was how once you then leave there and go out into the world, people just, especially if you're a man, well, definitely if you're a man, they look at you like, why the hell aren't you dying on the front lines? Like, why aren't you enlisted? Yeah. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And you just can't say anything. What do people think you're doing?
You're just like a coward or something? I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's the same logic or the reverse logic of like when people would come back from Vietnam and they'd like spit on them. They're like, I was over serving the country. They're like, you piece of shit. And it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
The Vietnam thing is the absolute worst. Like people that get drafted feel like, okay, they owe it to their country to go and do this, even if they don't believe in the war. And then they come back to get absolutely shit on. It's like, what?
Also, if you're in Bletchley Park and there's all this military presence and things going on, you're like, oh, there's probably something, it'd be like being outside of like the CIA headquarters and being like, you're not serving our country at all. It's like, I'm going to this secret facility every single day. What do you think I'm doing?
Yeah, there's a place where people are checking my pass and I'm going in there. What do you think's going on?
There are thousands of really, really smart people here all of a sudden. They're all getting bunked up in houses. But yeah, they must just not be serving. It's like, what?
Yeah. I'm with Beth's mom, though. I'd be so curious. It would kill me if people wouldn't say anything. All these people are living in my house. None of them will tell me just a snippet of what's going on.
And you're a big Beth's mom supporter also with the whole Bible and everything. I get it. I get that you're a sympathizer.
Big Bible fan. Huge. The bigger the Bible, the harder it is to hold above your head for hours. My first stock up is war in general, just war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So normally people don't like
War,
wars.
what is it good for? No?
Oh, nice. Gotcha. But what better than a worldwide crisis to get people thinking, maybe there's 50% of the population that we could tap into for skill, knowledge, and ability to put in a hard day's work. Like, it's just wild to me that Western culture at the time was just keep women in the kitchen. Like, it really is mind-blowing that they really didn't even think that they had anything to offer, really. And at the same time, in Russia, they were doing the complete opposite. Communism, say all you can about it, but women were supposed to be in the workforce and couldn't contribute as much as men did. I mean, that's why Russia grew. I mean, that's not why, but it's one of the reasons why Russia was able to grow so quickly is because of that. And then you have the other side of it, which is in Germany, where the whole idea is women are just supposed to be pumping out babies for the Third Reich. Like, that was your whole thing. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you outside? Why aren't you pregnant? It's like, what the fuck is happening? But it's just all this stuff about limitations that women have in society. Or, you can't get contraceptives unless you're engaged. It's just this weird way to keep women down. And then, like, you can't get hotel rooms unless you're show that you're married and stuff like that. It's so friggin' weird.
It seems like just a bad business decision, right? Like, it's like, no, let's prevent you from spending money here. It's like, why would you care as a hotel? Give me the money. I don't care. Do whatever you want, you heathens.
It's crazy to think that society just decided to, like, what is the phrase? You're great with mixing up phrases, but like bite your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, 6 1/2 dozens, the other half 6.
Yeah, 2 birds in your hand is better than a dead bird. So yeah, wild. It's stuff that I feel like we all know, but only when you see it in a situation like this, which is a historical fiction book, but this stuff's definitely, true. You realize that we're not really that far removed from that. And it being the first day of Women's History Month, let's respect it.
There we go. What I do think is good, everyone complains. People aren't bored very much anymore because there's so much stuff going on. Everyone has TV shows and they have social media and all these things. They're like, people won't go outside and play. The one good thing that came from that is people were so bored and didn't have anything to do back then that they just stuck their nose in everyone else's business. Now people have stuff to do. So they're like, all right, I don't give a shit what Joe Schmo on the road's doing. I just want to watch the British Bake Off right now. Whereas before it's like, I need entertainment. So if this heathen down the road is like dating someone and not married, then I'm going to get involved in their life. And it's like their own reality show. Whereas now we don't have to do that. So people don't talk about that. Good point, Keith.
I really appreciate that you called it British Bake Off, which is the British version. And it is. It's correct. But here in the U.S., we call it the Great British Baking Show, which is bullshit. In Great Britain, it's Bake Off.
That's a whole mouthful. I don't care for that.
What else do you have for stock up?
Slacking off at work, stock up. If anyone from my work's listening, I'm kidding. But the effort from everybody at Bletchley Park is incredible. They were working insane hours. They're just doing double shifts. There's just nonstop code breaking, nonstop thinking. Does make you feel a bit bad about kind of what you do, but they do say in the book, which is, was nice, is she was like, this job you can't slack off like all my other jobs because it's a war. We're like saving people's lives. Slacking off here is not acceptable. Where what my message I got from that is it's okay to slack off if you're not in a war.
Yeah.
So good for us. And yeah, great job. Also, one thing, I don't know if you can explain this, but there's a lot of talk about rods and cribs and stuff. I had no idea what was going on this whole time. I just can't imagine like a big game of Boggle going on the whole time.
Did you see The Imitation Game?
I just watched it.
Because that helped me at least conceptualize the machinery that they're using. Like the big computers.
Is that what they're using though? Like the dials and things like that they're doing there?
That's what Maeve is doing when she's like shifting out. They need a tall woman that she can shift out the knobs and whatnot. I don't know. That has nothing to do with
the bomb machine or something. I was like, she's dealing with bombs.
They call it the bomb.
I couldn't understand that
because it has so many like tubes and wires and stuff into it. They call it the bomb, I guess. I am no code breaker myself, so couldn't call it. I just knew that there were such things as rods and cribs. Every time they said it, I just thought about cribbage. My next stock up, similar to yours, I guess, is Fake It Till You Make It.
Okay.
Big fan of that. And Beth, when she first gets in there, she just like can't trust herself. You know, she's just saying like, "Oh, I'm not useless, whatever." And she's going to everyone saying, "You know, I can't do this, I can't do that." No one cares. The whole point is everyone's pretty compartmental. Like they're so busy with their own work, they don't really care what you're doing. They'll help you. No one's micromanaging here. Mm-hmm. So you can really just kind of skirt by as long as you're there. And just eventually, like for Beth, it's going to click. It's going to click. And once it does, she becomes her and Peggy, right? The best of the bunch. So if you're doing something in your life and it's not really clicking, stick with it, hang out, see what happens. Maybe through osmosis alone, you'll gather some information and you'll get better at it. Simple as that.
Yeah, slack off at work. Fake it till you make it. These are the two principles that we're trying to tell you here at BBC. All right?
Yeah, easy peasy.
I like it. Yeah, there you go.
What else do you have for stock up?
Last stock up, Gossip Girl. I mean,
The show?
Did you ever watch Gossip Girl?
No.
For all my Gossip Girl fans out there, shout out to Blake Lively. Bletchley Blitherings. It's awesome, but it's just Gossip Girl. I don't know if the show there's a narrator who like reports on the gossip going on, and it's a funny way, and then she always ends with XOXO Gossip Girl, and that's how it ends.
Gotcha.
So yeah, shout out to Gossip Girl. That was a quick one. Also, Ren Stevens from Even Stevens was in this book, which I also appreciated. So two good shows there, and wanted to call them out.
Tell me more about how Ren Stevens was in the book.
No, Ren Stevens is like one of the characters. He's just a random person that worked there. Yeah.
Is her first name actually Ren, or because they call the women Wrens?
Oh, did they? No, I think that it's WREN.
Yeah.
Stevens.
Yeah, they were calling the women Wrens.
What the hell does that mean? I looked up character chart. She was in there.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
Ren Stevens is in the book. Yeah. Don't question it.
Okay. It's WREN, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it's a bird, but maybe because of that, it's like an allegory to a woman. I don't know.
You gotta come stronger than pain if you're gonna question me here. You gotta tell me Ren Stevens was a bad character. You can't just be like, no, wrong. Come on, kid.
Female sailors are still informally known by the nickname as Wrens. So
I will bet you money a character's name's Ren Stevens.
No, I know her name's Ren Stevens and Even Stevens. I'm familiar with that.
I'm saying in the book.
Okay, got you. Sure, I accept it.
Mab is paired up with a woman named Ren Stevens to work on one machine, and they've dubbed Angus D. It's a direct quote, kid.
It's like the idea of a man being named Guy. It's like, hey, what's up, Guy? It's like, yeah, I'm a guy. Checks out.
God damn it.
My last stock up is Boston, Massachusetts. Kate Quinn, the author, went to BU.
Wow.
Yeah. Got a master's in classical voice. A master's in classical voice. What that is, no idea, and I'm okay with it. Good for her. It turned her into a prolific author. So good for you, Kate. Good for you, BU. Good for you, Boston. P.S. Nobody go to BU. It's way too expensive. Terrible school. Stock down. What do you got?
I could tell we were on the same page, kid. Just based off your last one. Stock down for me, Boston Sayings. So
wow,
we're on opposite ends right now.
Oh my god!
First off, stock up British slang. Like let's be honest here. The British slang was awesome.
Yeah.
But Boston Sayings did not do well in this book. We got Mab's family, who literally is just a Boston family. They just keep on being like, "What do you think? You're better than me?" They just kept on telling her that, and they're like, "You think you're too good for this family?" I'm like, this is straight out of Good Will Hunting / The Town / Departed. Like every Boston movie ever has that some scene like that in there.
It was wild that Mab was like trying to do something different and like break out on her own, and the family was just like, "What are you trying to do here? Like, just be your wife. What are you doing?"
Yeah, you trying to show us up by improving yourself?
Yeah, how dare you? I wish my parents had that mentality.
And then the term "hun," like honey, hun, is a terrible term. They kept on being like, "What are you, hun?" And I was like, "Hun?"
Oh, like a German?
Hun is German. Yeah, they didn't use it very much. They used it in the beginning, and I kept on being like, "Hun?" Cup of coffee, hun, and
light and
a
sweet.
Ring-a-dink.
Light and sweet, hun.
Yeah, light and sweet. So yeah, the Boston Sayings just did not go well this book. So there it is.
Okay. Well, considering Boston had one of the first subways in North America, I'm gonna say taking the subway as a stock down. Some creep petting the one-eyed monster right in front of the ladies on the train. And that in itself is disgusting and deplorable. But it's such a common occurrence for Osla that she says, and I quote, "Most men cover it with a hat at this point." gross. What the fuck is happening? Because I've seen countless.
You've seen it?
I've seen countless one-eyed monsters. No, I've seen countless Reddit videos or something along those lines where someone does something inappropriate and people just freak out and, they're hating them, whatever, call the cops, this, that, and the other thing. No, you can't do anything. It's just like uncomfortable but yet acceptable for this guy to do this. Like, you'd need another man to step in and clock this guy across the face. Like, you couldn't do anything yourself. It's disgusting, and also just in general, don't take the subway. Only weird shit happens on the subway. Simple as that. I once saw a man piss into a Listerine bottle and drink it. So, only weird shit happens on the subway.
This is what happens when you have a prim and proper society, that people have. You can't just be like, do something like slightly perverted. You have to go all the way. You can't go. There's no middle ground anymore. Middle ground's gone. You have to go either both extremes, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
And I guess perverts now, like, for the most part, can be behind closed doors and, like, do their perversions.
No, we meet, every couple of weeks. No.
Because, the internet just creates a safe space for all sorts of sick folks. But it's just in 1942 or whatever, you just take it out into the open, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ugh, gross. What else you ever stuck down?
This one does, I guess, align with that. Stock down men. I mean, so, it's a dichotomy here. It's cyclical. The market's cyclical. I've sold women in the past on this podcast before. D-Man was much to D-Man's chagrin on that.
When did you sell women again?
Foundation.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
that was a good sale.
There wasn't any women. Yeah, that's fair.
But men just take an absolute beat down in this book, from being overly aggressive perverts, like you mentioned, rapists, condescenders, cowards, thieves, traitors, everything in between, like all those things.
And they deserve it.
I mean, mention the worst character, Beth's dad. Just a spineless piece of shit. Just such a piece of shit, Beth's dad. What a piece of shit. Other thing, too, is that Harry and Francis were not men. They were heroes. They were like the greatest people of all time. So,
who's Francis? Why did I forget Francis?
Francis is the Peaky Blinders. That's what I remembered him as. That's Mab's husband.
Oh, the poet?
Yeah. What are his negatives? He's too caring.
Yeah.
He cares too much. Nice. He's too rich. He writes too well.
He's a little in his own head. He had a tough conversationalist at first.
He's like so respectful of me and just accepts me for who I am, but he won't open up. It's like, that's the negative? Like, that's every guy.
But then he's like writing all these love letters and stuff. I was like, God damn it, this guy's got
he's really showing every guy out.
This guy's got it figured out. And he's using metaphors, real metaphors, not like ones I use like from third grade when you had a simile class and it's like, use like or as. I was like, okay, I eat like a sloth, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, Francis, Harry, good guys. But yeah, the men in this definitely take a hit, and deservedly at that. Deservedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Beth's dad was tough. She'd be like, Dad, stand up to Mom. I can understand if you're going to just let your wife abuse your child.
You can understand that?
I can understand it. But when there's a dog in play and she just kicks the dog out, it's like, hold on. What? You literally just opened the door and put the dog outside and just said, go? In the middle of winter? Like, what's going on here? You should get hung by your toes for something like that. Ridiculous. And this God-fearing woman is doing that to an animal. Granted, I did take CCD class, and I asked the CCD teacher if my cat was going to heaven, and she told me, no, there's no space in heaven for animals. And that's the day I stopped believing in God.
Oh, well, did you ask about dogs?
I only had a cat at the time.
Well, dogs aren't animals. They're angels already, she would have answered, probably. So maybe she's just a dog person.
She did have a dog.
So there you go. That should have been like, Mom just threw out the crossword, and her dad would have been like, that's it. Like, I'm putting my foot down, because that's the only thing he cared about. He didn't have any other passions, right?
Also, to go on with that is everyone's like, even in her own family, they're like, Beth's so stupid. I can't believe how dumb Beth is.
I didn't realize she had siblings, by the way, right? Like, she had a bunch of siblings. I was like, what are these siblings doing?
Yeah.
What the garbage siblings these are?
But everyone's just like, oh, Beth's stupid. Beth can't do anything. Yet the dad knows, or everyone really knows, that she gets a crossword and she solves it immediately. We've tried crosswords. I used to poke around on the Metro crossword when I used to ride the subway and watch guys pee in Listerine bottles. And I couldn't get more than half.
Crosswords are in German, I'm pretty sure, right? They're not in English.
They're The ones
They're like Latin, maybe.
Yeah, it
like
makes
Latin
no
versions.
sense. And she was able to solve it in like, she's a pen solver. She grabs the pen. She doesn't take the pencil.
No, remember she would just look at it and know she had a photographic memory also.
Yeah.
You can't have a photographic memory and then be like, this person's stupid. It's like, no, that means they literally can memorize everything.
My next talk down is loose lips sink ships, or the idea of Wrens before men's. I was trying to think of like the opposite of bros before hoes. Wrens before men's. Wrens being the women here, not your Wren Stevens. But the point is that Beth is freaking out at Osla for info on Harry when he's flying around. She's like, I need to know what's happening. I need to know. What is Beth going to do anyways? Like, Beth can't do anything. Right? It would just be information on like where Harry is, maybe if he's alive, like who really knows. But at the same time, Beth gets this information of the raid on Coventry, which is not only where Francis is, but where Osla, Mab, and Mab's sister, aka daughter, at the time are literally the next day going on a train to go. Beth knows this information and she doesn't tell them. It is absolutely mind-boggling that this would happen. All she has to do, she's like, I can't break the code. I can't release secrets or whatever. All you have to do is say, hey, Osla, Mab, maybe tomorrow's not the best day to go to Coventry. That's it. Yeah. That's all you have to say. Instead, she keeps that information to herself. She sends her friends into a war zone on purpose, and her friend's daughter dies and her friend's husband dies. Yet then she's freaking out because she can't find out where Harry is.
It's a little bit of hypocrisy. What? Yeah, for sure.
It's more than hypocrisy. It's absolute mind-boggling stuff. It makes no freaking sense. Like, at no point, if I was Mab, would I have gone and got her out of the asylum. I would have tried to find out if there was a traitor because, you got to respect Bletchley. But I would immediately turn the car around and drive her back to the asylum and put her in there and say, enjoy your lobotomy. Wow. Enjoy your lobotomy. Forget everything about me, just like you forgot to tell me about the Coventry.
A bit harsh.
He killed her daughter.
She made a good point that what is she supposed to do every single time? They were leaving a lot. Beth wasn't gallivanting around and doing what they're doing. Like, hey, if you want to go to all these different cities and travel around and pretend there's no war going on, like, that's on you. Is there a responsibility to tell her, oh, you're going to London this weekend? Well, there's going to be bombs. There's this, like, every single time she has to tell them.
But their point was there's always bombing in London. We know the risk there. We understand. But when you're going into the countryside, Coventry had been bombed once before in this entire war. And now we're going out to the countryside, and you know that there's going to be a big raid there the next day, right when we're going.
Wouldn't it be much more likely if it got out that they broke the code then? You know what I mean? Like, if you use the imitation game as an example, it gets out that they know that the bombings are coming to Coventry, then they know the code's broken. Because there's no chance that anyone would know that unless the code was broken, right?
Yeah, but the only person she's telling...
So that'd be much more vital than... But she was like, what if you told Francis, and Francis then told someone, and then all of a sudden it's out?
Yes, and I understand that, but that's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Are you kidding me?
I agree. And in Imitation Game 2, the same thing happens. There's a lot of parallels, by the way, in the book. One of the guys that works there's brothers is on a boat that he wants to save, and they're like, well, we can't save that. Where I would be like, all right, fuck it, let's save this.
And I understand why you can't do the boat situation or whatnot. That would be very blatant that the Nazis would know you're changing the code, or that you got the code. This is just telling your friends you live with, hey, maybe get sick tomorrow and don't go to Coventry.
No, I 100% agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but at the same time, it's like plans change all the time. She could easily call Francis and say, oh, hi, Francis, how are you? Can you just come over here instead?
Is she from the South? That's a weird southern English accent there.
Well, after they left England, most of them went to Virginia. That's where the Puritans... Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, loose lips sink ships. Fuck that shit. Save your friends, families when you can. Okay, yeah, the only one I had left was slut shaming. Stalk down.
Slush shaming or slut shaming?
Slut shaming.
Don't talk slush, kid. We've been over this.
Beth's mom, she hasn't been hated on enough. The dad's a total piece of shit. Mom's a potentially bigger piece of shit.
Well, the mom is an evil character. Just like she's just pure evil. It'd be like saying like Voldemort's bad, but like really the people that are around Voldemort that just kind of let it go are worse in my mind. You know, there's terrible people, and then there's people that let it happen, which are worse. Beth's dad, just grow a spine, buddy. Come on.
First they came for Beth, and Beth's dad said nothing.
And the worst part is his dad divorces her later, and I'm like, no, your penance is you stay with her forever. You do not divorce her now, you piece of shit.
But the slut shaming, the mom basically shames the daughter, calls her all these horrible things because she has a nice experience. Not all relationships are the same. Harry's in an odd relationship with his wife, and they're doing the best they can. They both love each other. They're taking care of their kid, but they don't have carnal lust for each other. So Harry's got a little carnal lust for Beth's brain and her other parts. And Beth has the same for Harry. They're happy together. So Beth's mom should just shove it. Instead, she's like, oh my God, I heard the story about you. Hold this book above your head. Beth's like, nah, I'm out of here. Yeah. This is crazy. Also, Beth would probably be jacked for all of the Bible holding she's doing. I mean, we could all grab, what's a Bible weigh? 3 pounds,
King
maybe?
James? Probably heavier than that.
On
Those
the first day, God said, let there be light.
This is not a paperback we're talking about.
Yeah, this is like a family Bible. So let's say it's a 5-pound Bible.
At least.
You're holding that above your head or like straight out in front of you.
She was doing squats with it too. She was getting real in shape.
She's like pledging her mom's sorority or something. And, but yeah, you'd be jacked. You'd be absolutely jacked out of your mind. So props up to Beth's mom. Fuck. Stock up, Beth's mom. Damn it.
I also do like Mab and Asa playing the role of Vicky Valancourt from The Waterboy and getting her to break out of her shell. I appreciated that.
Mama says you the devil, Vicky Valancourt. What's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene? I mean, we were just alluding to it. Beth smacking her mom. Oh, that felt good. Oh, God, that felt good. I mean, what? We knew she was a terrible character, and we were just waiting for that scene where she finally broke. And then her girl's riding with her, too, when they left. You know, I really like all these characters in this book. By the end, I didn't necessarily like Mab, which I'll get into later, but I was riding or die with these girls after that.
Respect. Yeah, I mean, also, as we were alluding to, my favorite scene, guy masturbating on the train.
That's the clip. We got it. The video you saw last night or something different?
Honestly, and it's unfortunate that it's a favorite scene, but because it's not like a favorite in like,
we know
yours was.
Man. Go on.
Lucy and Francis dying. It was the first time I was like, oh shit. You know, it was like such a oh shit moment. Like I thought the oh shit moment was going to be that it was her daughter. And I knew that Mab wasn't in a great relationship based on the flash forwards or whatever the case is, the present day stuff. So it was like, okay, something did happen, but I didn't think the two of them died from a wall of a house falling on them. It was just kind of stopped me in my tracks when I was listening to it. And was like, oh fuck, like actually had a moment of emotional pain, which when a book does that to you, you know that it's working.
Yeah, I also did really like that. Instead of doing like the cliche, like, oh, they got away and then she died, they're like, everything's safe and sound. And I was like, oh, phew, you know, everything's good. And then it hits. That hits way harder.
Yeah, it's like, where's Lucy? Where's Lucy? Where's Lucy? And they find her. It's like,
perfect.
Oh, okay, great. Francis is like, I got her. It was like Meet Joe Black. Have you ever seen Meet Joe Black?
He gets hit by the car. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's like at the beginning of the movie, you're like, wait, what? Brad Pitt gets hit by a car?
Or like in Saving Private Ryan, where the guy gets shot in his helmet. He's like, oh my God, I got saved. And he takes his helmet off and he gets shot in that again and dies.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately not favorite in a good way, but favorite in a emotional way. Sure. Did you have a character that you stood behind? I know you had one that you particularly hated.
Ursula? I loved Ursula. Could have stayed home safe in Canada, but she rolls in deep into back to the UK. She doesn't really have much of a family. She's funny. She's fiery. She's silly.
She's vivacious.
Yeah, she's all those things. And then people call her like a silly Deb all the time, which I didn't fucking care for. I don't care for her at all. What?
No, I just liked how you said I didn't care for it at all. You got Ursula's back.
Yeah.
She's your
and she's the one that actually saves Beth, because Mab wasn't going to do it. To your point, she was pissing Mab.
Mab wasn't. And I'm all for Mab on
that's
that.
fair. No, I think she was the best character. She got her heart broken by Prince Philip, that fucking asshole. I didn't realize he was a real person, by the way. So I was like, who's this King Philip guy? Or this Prince Philip guy.
I don't think he's a king.
Yeah, he's the guy that's about to
he's-
be called king now, right?
I don't think. No, he's not king. He's like the Duke of Edinburgh.
No, he's about to become coronated. Is that the word?
Yeah, you don't become king though. She's the queen. I don't think you're the king.
But the queen's dead. Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, that's her son Charles. That's the king.
Is Prince Philip dead?
He died.
Oh, okay.
Like a couple of years ago.
Never mind. I don't know who he is then.
It's hilarious that you didn't know he was a real person.
No, yeah.
My stepmom loves the British royalty for some reason.
I like the crown or whatever.
Yeah, the whole idea. She's like, "Oh, did you see that article?" And I was like, "No, I do not give a shit about some monarch family. Like, there's no interest to me." But that's how I was like, "You should read this book." She's like, "Yeah, maybe you're not." I was like, "It has Prince Philip in it," and she's like, "Ooh, interesting." I was like, "Jesus Christ, you people!" But he was supposedly quite a coxman in his day.
Okay, all right. Who's your favorite character?
I think Osla too. Maybe
like
Harry. I mean, Osla, you've already hit on all the points. Cool Canadian girl. Could have stuck around, instead decided to fight the good fight. And Harry just deals with all this pretty much racism and shame from the people of the streets. Gets his barmaid or whatever girlfriend pregnant, and he sticks around. He's a good dad, and he likes a little tryst in the hay bales with Beth there. All right, Keith, what'd you love about the Rose Club?
That was kind of a book for everyone. It was a little romance, a lot of romance, historical fiction, mystery. I will say the first hour of the book, it took me a while to get used to the narrator being like super British, and it was like a Jane Austen book at the beginning. I was like, what did D-Man get me into? I was not ready for that, but it really grew on me, and I was like, all right, this book, once you get to know the characters, which obviously they establish really well, you're happy to be in the world. You're just like happy to be there, you know? It's like, I was just content the whole time listening. It was never like one of those books that I need to like get into this and finish it, but every time I turn it on, the day would go by and you just listen to it. It was super easy to listen to. And
yeah, it's a longer book. I think it's like 15, 16 hours or something like that. So it's not short by any means. And there's not a ton that goes on from big scene situation.
Right.
You know, there's not like big scene stuff. And then additionally, like we talked about, it's in Bletchley Park, and there's these high level code breaking things that we didn't even really understand.
Exactly, yeah.
Yet at the same time, it's very character driven. We enjoyed being in this time in history.
I wanted to be
these
there.
Women. Yeah, with these women. And maybe not with all the clothes. There seemed to be a lot of clothes going on. You know, you had to put on these clothes and then the socks and then your undergarments.
Well, my girl Ursula wore out like a mechanic's outfit out to like a ball, and I was like, all right, I like that. I like how she rolls.
Yeah. She was meant fixing hurricanes. Good for her. So yeah, it was in itself enjoyable. And then the fact that it was set in a real part of history, and Kate Quinn did what a lot of people do in these situations where they study up on it really well and they mesh people into one character. You know, there's multiple characters and they pull them all into one. And I love that because you get so much more information about what's going on, and it feels like I learned something while also having a good time. So yeah, I'm with you there. There was a lot of different stuff in it, and at the same time, not all books need these like big twists and turns. Like, this is a really good version to me of what people would call for like a twist. It's not even a twist really. It's just there's something else going on. There's a little
The whole book
cloak and
doesn't hinge on
dagger.
it. You could
Yeah,
have without
exactly.
it. That makes a good twist book in my mind.
At the end, it was interesting when the traitor was revealed or whatnot, and how they solved that. But it wasn't like I was dying to get there.
Right.
I was just enjoying the ride. I just loved Bletchley Bletherings. I just thought
Gossip
it was
Girl?
a fun. Yeah, Gossip Girl. I've never seen Gossip Girl, but I might have to watch it now.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a fun idea for someone to do, and it turned into Osla's. She might not be super happy that she's kind of writing for the tabloids, but she's definitely got a talent for it. And I guess how would you feel about your friends telling the town your news?
It didn't make sense to me unless she was revealing her secrets as well. Then I'd been fine with it. But like, wouldn't they automatically know it's her since she's like the biggest socialite in the group, and somehow there's no reports on her?
That was my follow-up question. Was like Mabe and Beth at least knew it was Oslo, right?
Yeah,
They
or
had to.
Yeah, she's like, "What are you doing in there?" It's like, "Oh, just writing something. Don't worry."
Yeah. Also, you have a place that's just all code breakers and people that are figuring out these big secrets, and yet they don't know who's writing their like high school periodical? Nah, I don't think so. So it was probably something that was like known but also appreciated. But I think she did write about her own stuff.
Yeah, okay. That makes me feel better. I liked the Mad Hatters Club book club.
Oh yeah,
It's a great name. You know, we love book clubs here. It was cool that they had more than 2 members. I've never heard of a book club that doesn't have only just 2 people, 2 guys speaking into a podcast with no one listening. I've never heard of that before, but that's a cool rendition that they had. Guys and girls, that's cool. It doesn't roll off the tongue like the BBC does, but you know. Not everyone can have the perfect name like the Buddy Book Club. So, yeah, but I love that. I wanted to be part of that group.
Other thing I loved, and we've already talked about this, and it happens every time we read a British book, which just feels like a good amount out of the 40 or so books we've read. But British slang, every time, there's new stuff, and it makes me happy. We've previously talked about the word torch for a flashlight, which makes so much more sense to me than a flashlight. It's not a flashlight, it's a torch. That's what it is.
Well, what's a torch then?
But who uses a torch? You know what I mean? That's the thing.
It's still a word.
Yeah, it can mean both. I mean, the English language is full of a bunch of bullshit words.
That doesn't mean we should complicate it more. That's a terrible argument. No, there's a ton of words that are stupid that used to do the same thing, so we should do another one then. What
do you think? You're going to be with Indiana Jones in a cave, and you're going to say, he's going to say, pass me the torch, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't know which one
like, I don't have a flashlight. Your argument is, things are already complicated. Let's make them more complicated. That doesn't make any sense.
I just think it's a good word.
Come up with a new word, like a beam sword or something. I don't know, lightsaber. Ooh, a lightsaber would be good.
Yeah.
Wow, really? Why don't we call it a lightsaber? That is way better.
Because lightsabers already a thing.
Well, lightsabers aren't real unless we're in a galaxy far, far away, sir. So at least I'm making
but
sense
what if
here.
you're hanging out with Yoda and you're like, pass me the lightsaber, and instead he passes you a real one, it cuts your arm off.
You wouldn't know Yoda's a Jedi because you don't have the Force sense, kid. I do. I would know it. He'd know what I mean.
British slang here, though, we have French letter, which is a euphemism for condom, which I'm a huge fan of. I tried to find out French letter. Like, this has to have some big backstory on it. Literally nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Just says, also known as a French letter. And in general, what's more interesting, in my mind, is that no one even knows where the word condom came from. It just showed up one day, and it's widely used.
I also have an issue with it. I feel like it should be a French envelope. Because one, envelope's a French word, I think, baby. 2, you're what are you putting into the envelope? A letter. Know what the letter is?
Oh,
see what I'm saying? Yeah. The envelope needs something to put in it. I'm making way too much sense. You know that's a good point by me.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue, though. French envelope.
A French envelope. Yeah, it does.
You're getting busy in the sheets, and you say, pass me that French envelope. Got to be careful. Don't say, pass me the lightsaber. Yeah. You get very confusing. Pass me the torch. Oh, no. Whole bed's on fire.
What's it called when you get like an envelope cutter? What are those called? Is that what it's called? Like a
letter opener?
Yeah, that's when your condom breaks. All right, I'll see my way out.
Okay. Yeah, so British slang, keep it up. Love it. What else did you love?
I actually really liked that it was a happy ending. I'm a cynical guy. I like kind of dark endings, but I actually really liked the everything kind of came into place. It was just a great ending, and I loved the last 20 minutes. I was a huge fan. And I think every historical fiction novel should have this of, all right, so here's what it's based off of. Here's all the actual facts of this. I looked up this. I did this research.
Oh, you're saying like the interview with the author at the end?
Amazing. That was so sick. I think all historical fiction books should have that, and movies. And an addendum also, all comedies should have blooper reels at the end. That should be required.
I don't understand why comedies, when they roll credits, don't all have the blooper reels at the end. All right,
we're on the same page. There we go. We're back to the same page, baby. Let's go.
It makes you enjoy the character. I mean, Anchorman, I watched that fairly recently, and they hit it correctly, because there's so much shit that's on the cutting room floor. Why not put it next to who the, jib operator is or the gaffer's tape guy? It's like, that's what I want to see. And I agree with you on not only should all historical fiction books have this, but I think all audiobooks in general should have something like this at the end, because even books, paperback books, usually it's like an about the author section. It's like, this person was born in here, they studied here. It's like, okay, that's interesting a little bit, but I want to know how they came up with the book, or like, interesting tidbits about the book. Like, I want to know the DVD commentary for just 5-10 pages. I just read 300, 400 pages. Like, give me a little backstory to keep me interested here. And I thought they did it really well with this in the audiobook format when they have the interview with the author at the end. So yeah, I dug it. So Hates, what do you got?
We already mentioned Harry not going off to war and getting kind of shit on, but
He did go off to war.
or well, eventually he did. But yeah, Harry and me are way different. Listen, I'm super patriotic. I bleed red, white, and blue.
Do you? I thought you just bled red.
Nah, I bleed red, white, and blue. But I grew up in a country and people were like, you don't fucking belong here. Like, who are you? And then like the war comes and people are like, why aren't you going over war? I'd be like, yo, shut the fuck up. He doesn't hold the same spite or like anger that I would. Like people spitting on him even before the fact. And now they're spitting on him for real for like not going to war. I'd be like, first of all, I'd stand up. He's like 6'5", like 250. I'd just be like, what are you going to say about it? First off, I'd just start knocking people's blocks off. That's how they said it in the old days. But he didn't have any spite or vengeance. The exact opposite effect would happen. I'd almost become a traitor rather than, if people keep on saying this, rather than be like, oh, well, I guess I have to do my duty now. It's like, that didn't make sense to me. Like, come on, Harry.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although it does bring interesting corollaries for our country.
Like Muhammad Ali. I was 100% on board with him. He should have the same thing. He should have been knocking people out. They said shit to him.
Yeah, and that happens all over the place. And it's crazy. Just society in general is just such a weird thing. The way people can vacillate their feelings based on that stuff.
Can what? Vaseline?
I knew you were going to say Vaseline. Yeah, it's just it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, and but I do understand at the same time, because if you've seen all these war movies and war books, that there's legitimately no men around. The ones that were around were in uniform. So when you saw one that wasn't, it was like, hey, buddy, like, what are you doing? Step up your game. I always think about, I'm not into dying in general, and so I probably wouldn't want to do that stuff, but it'd be an interesting position if you're a 18, 20-year-old guy and there's a world war and everyone's signing up. Like, what do? You try to put yourself in that position, and it's you would never know unless you're there, but I do wonder what I would do in that situation.
I thought you were going to reference Band of Brothers, where the guys were like, yeah, everyone in my town signed up. 5 people weren't physically able, so they committed suicide.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's like they're 4F, so they committed suicide.
Yeah, they couldn't get in, so yeah, they
and then the other guys who are like in Band of Brothers, the paratroopers, they're like, yeah, we're going to get drafted anyways, so why not go into a unit that's like well-trained and not just, these infantry grunts. And also, you make $50 more a month.
Smart.
All right. The only thing I really hated, and we already talked about it, was Asa not telling Prince Philip. Oh, did we talk about this? I don't know. Asa not telling Prince Philip why they couldn't see each other. To me, it just didn't make a lot of sense, because I understand in general you can't be sending letters saying we can't talk anymore because of this. But once they met up again and they had a, no pants dance, but just with hands, when that happens, you'd think you would just be like, hey, whisper him to him. Like, they didn't have microphones in the room. Just be like, hey, I couldn't talk to you because they're concerned that your family's associated with Nazis, and I'm working at a place where I could get you in trouble. So
yeah, that's not really breaking any morals or ethics or secrets. He's like, he knows that he has people that are Nazis in his family. It's not a news to him. So yeah, I didn't get that either.
I guess the only thing was that she would be disclosing that she's not just a secretary, but even if she was a secretary, she still says, I'm working at this place where it's,
they keep on flagging the letters I send to you, so I can't send them anymore. There, boom.
Simple as that. Now we're getting married at the end of this, and you're not marrying Elizabeth, who's your cousin. Bro, like, what? How have we not stock up or stock down incest? Because that was fucking weird.
Is that like a cuz thing? Like you calling her cuz?
No. I think it's like you go to family gatherings together. Your mom and her mom are going. That kind of thing. What else do you got for hate?
Last one, Mab. I get her hating Beth. I get it. I do. You were right about that. But Osla? I didn't get it.
Osla?
What's her name?
Asla?
Asla. Whatever. Her hating Asla just didn't make sense to me. she first off she's like, Asa, you're coming here this weekend. I need you to babysit. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, oh yeah, you're coming. The same Asa, who's their literally best friend, she's basically made the wedding happen. She's done everything she can to use her influence and money and everything to help her. She's like, yeah, you come babysit. So bombs start dropping, and she's like, pick up my daughter. Why is she doing that?
Yeah. Why aren't you holding your daughter's hand?
Is she getting paid to babysit? Like, what are we doing here? Like, it didn't make any sense. And then we already mentioned before, but she breaks away. Bombs are being dropped. Like, let's be honest here, and it's a 6-year-old. So either you find your daughter after she releases her hand, or you shut the fuck up. Like, she's 6. She's not a fucking Usain Bolt, right? Like, what's going on here? Nextly, she's 6. She's smart enough. By 6 years old, you should be figuring things out by now. It's not a 2-year-old. And then what's the statute of limitations? Because she released her hand at one point during the day, everything else that happens during that day is now Asa's fault. Like, they go back. She's safe. End of discussion. That's it. Anything after that happens is not on her anymore. Like, what happened if she held onto the hand, they walked in the building next door, and it got bombed?
I'm with you. You feel like you have to blame. I get in the moment, and who would know? You know, none of us have lost a child, and you know, who would know what someone would do in this situation? But definitely in the moment, I could see you trying to like blame someone. But after some time, it's not Asa's fault. I mean, because Mab is such a strong-willed woman. Like, she's just not gonna admit she was wrong there.
But also it was like, hand up, my fault completely. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, you were doing her a favor by being there. That's your responsibility. That's not Asa's responsibility. I was upset. I liked Mab too up until that point.
Get your head out of the clouds, Mab. Height joke. Height joke.
All right, there we go.
We don't have listener mail, right? Unfortunately, the SGF did not send in listener mail, and she read the book.
See that. You hate to see it from the
Yeah,
fans.
well, someone's not getting a French letter tonight.
You never wear an envelope, kid. We all know that. I'll cut that.
Okay, let's cast the movie. So an adaptation is in the works. Will it be a movie, a show, streaming? Supposedly it's an episodic TV series. Black Bear Pictures is developing it. They also did The Imitation Game, so they should be able to handle the subject and probably have some set pieces. News broke on this a year ago, though, and nothing new has been said. So do you have anyone you'd like to cast for the roles while they're still looking?
Yeah, I went with some British actresses.
Okay. I got Google ready. I'm ready to look yours up. Go on.
Ursula, Amelia Clarke, you should know her, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. I also thought potentially her, so interesting. For Asa, I casted Juno Temple, who's do you watch Ted Lasso?
Oh, yes, okay.
She's the like PR person.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think she'd have like the right level of sass and also could have a Deb vibe to her, you know?
I like that.
So I don't think she has to have her accent. Like they'd change the accent.
Right.
A different
sure,
accent,
she
I
could
feel
do a
like.
higher class accent.
Yeah, so I was a big fan of her for Osla, in my opinion. But Amelia Clarke would also crush, for sure.
For Mab, I was looking for tall actresses, but I think you can just basically do anyone that's over like 5'3", because all actresses are kind of short. I'm going to fuck up her name. Saoirse Ronan? Is that right? She's from, it's spelled Saoirse. She's Irish.
Oh, yeah. She's in Lady Bird.
Yeah, in Lady Bird. Yeah, she's kind of got the sass, which you need from Mab. I feel like she could play that role well. She's a really good actress. Anything I've seen her in, so I like her. I like her for it.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. That. I went with Lily Cole, who's an actress, and basically I just went with her because she's 5'10". So that was it. She's 5'10", so I said, there we go. And I think Mab is redhead, isn't she?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, what's her name's 5'6", Saria. So she's kind of tall.
Yeah,
not really tall, but
she has some lifts.
Yeah, she got some lifts on. Beth, I want Hannah Murray, who plays Gilly in Game of Thrones.
Remember her? Yeah, I do. I think that's a good one.
Seems like she could be shy, but also be a little bit feisty when needed.
Yeah, interesting. Because I went with Imogen Poots.
Imagine Dragon?
Imogen Poots. She's in Jersey 28 Weeks Later.
I have not. Is that a zombie one?
What?
I saw it 28 Days Later, yeah.
Yeah, you haven't seen the sequel, 28 Weeks Later?
Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, if you like the first one, then it's really good. So she plays the daughter in it, but she just has that young blonde. Like, you could see her being innocent, but also like find her voice throughout the movie.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Last one, Francis. I couldn't find the perfect actor, and I kind of just defaulted to Ewan McGregor. It's supposed to be like an older gentleman that's just, it seems like kind of like a dad, but also married to Mab. So, Ewan McGregor. I think he's supposed to be like 40 something, right?
Yeah.
And she's like 20 something. So, I don't know. I think there's a better one out there. I couldn't find one.
Yeah.
What about you?
I went with Sam Rockwell for him.
Ooh,
I
like that.
Yeah, I think he just has he looks like a poet, you know?
Yeah.
And he's a bit wafier or whatever, you know, he just doesn't seem necessarily like he's this big, strong man, but he seems like he's got a good heart. I think he'd do really well.
I just rewatched Matchstick Men. He really does play kind of the same character in every movie, but he's still a great character.
Matchstick Men, I think the first time I watched it, I gave it like a 2. And I was like, I gotta rewatch this. I rewatched it. I think it's like a 3.5 for me. Wow. It's just such a good movie. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing the first time.
I mean, Nick Cage, you know, it's just amazing. So
he crushed.
He actually is a really good actor in that. He's actually like a very good actor. He is.
Have you seen Pig? The
No.
movie that came out recently with him. He's great in it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Someone steals his truffle pig. I mean,
say less.
Exactly. Yeah. For Harry, I casted Riz Ahmed, who's the guy from the Star Wars movie Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in the HBO series.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's in Nightcrawler too. Tambien.
Nightcrawler, great movie.
Yeah,
great movie. I've been on a big Jake Gyllenhaal kick.
Oh, he's one of my favorite actors. I think he's underrated, even though he's highly rated. He's highly rated, but he's still underrated for that.
Ever since you told me to watch Prisoners, I've been on a Gyllenhaal kick. Okay, Rose Code, would you recommend it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if it's in me top 10. I think it's just outside the top 10, but I still would definitely recommend it to a lot of people.
High praise.
Especially if they like history. And yeah, I think, like I said, you can recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's a perfect book for anybody. Mm-hmm. Whatever you're looking for, it's going to scratch it. I was a big fan of it. I don't think it's going to break my top 10. It was enjoyable throughout, but it's going to break my top half, whatever that case is. So I liked it a lot, and I'm really glad the SGF sent the reco after months of her saying you should read it. All right, so what's coming up next?
Next, we got We're All Lying. Before a release date, the Buddy Book Club has gotten a early copy. Marie Still will also be interviewing her for the next ep. So don't miss it.
Yeah, next step, We're All Lying. I think the book comes out in...
Day we release the episode, the 14th.
Oh, the 14th of March.
Yeah.
So it comes out the 14th. And so if you want to go and get yourself a copy, by the time you finish reading it, the ep will be up. And if you wanted to hear a quick interview with the author, then come on over to the Buddy Book Club. We'll have it.
I like it.
All right. Until next time.
Bye now.
Bye now.